Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody is doing well out there on this Sunday morning, July 31st. Woo! As you can see, this year is moving. It's not waiting for anybody to catch up, right? We trying to say, can you slow down? Nah, time waits for no one. It keeps on moving. As you can see, we're already going into August. Wow. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Well, I'm not going to be too long with you this morning. I'm going to try to be half as long and twice as strong. But this morning, I want to deal with something that, for the last couple of days, I've been dealing with in different areas with different individuals. And I just want to kind of touch on it a little bit this morning. It's kind of a deep topic, but I just want to kind of lay it out, kind of roll it out and see, kind of where everybody is at. And what I want to talk about is abandonment issues. Ooh, yeah. Again, abandonment issues. Now, why do I choose to talk about that this morning? Because what's happening is abandonment issues and challenges are showing up in different areas of our lives, right? Whether it be young adults, whether it be adults, right? Just different areas, right? Because abandonment issues are showing up sometimes in business, right? Sometimes in relationships, and then also just based upon your individual ability to move forward, right? Because sometimes, unfortunately, those things that happen to us in the past, they find a way to kind of provide roadblocks for us for the future. Now, when we talk about abandonment issues, one of the key things in that is forgiveness, ladies and gentlemen. And the forgiveness piece is not necessarily for the individual who abandoned us. That forgiveness piece primarily is for us. Now, why do I say that? It's for us because what happens is it allows us to move forward, right? For example, I shared with everybody that, I grew up without my father. As you can see, I got my Growing Up Without a Father shirt on. And growing up without a father, for those that can relate, it's very traumatic, right? And sometimes you don't know it's traumatic because as a young person, you're just living your life, right? You're just kind of going through, right? But then you get to a certain point and you kind of look back and you realize what you didn't have and you realize how it impacted you. And now you start to feel a funny kind of way. And if the individual, if your father is still alive and he's still making a different choice and not choosing to be in your life and or your children's lives, which is his grandchildren's lives, you start to feel a funny kind of way. Okay. Well, what happens is in that feeling tends to hold us. It tends to bind us. It tends us to stop forward movement, forward progression. Now, why is that significant? That's significant because what happens is that's what we build our foundation on, right? So just think about that, right? As you move to this thing we call life, there's certain times in our lives that impact us more than others. So when we deal with those challenges of individuals who were supposed to be significant in our lives, and they weren't, they made a different choice, our foundation that's poured at that moment in life becomes solid. Now, why is that significant? It's significant because it becomes solid. And just think about this. If that foundation that's poured at that moment in our lives is poured on mistrust, lack of trust, because somebody abandoned us, what happens? It's solid now, right? And now that's what we're building on. Because at that moment in life, Somebody made a different decision. Our foundation was poured, and now that's what we stand on. But then you move forward and you get a little bit older and you realize that that particular foundation of where you were in terms of and where you are, it doesn't benefit you, right? It doesn't suit you. But now, how do you go back and undo something? It's something that you stood on for God knows how long, because somebody else wronged you, because somebody made a different choice, right? So that's why, I talk about coaching. I talk about life coaching. I talk about vision coaching, right? I talk about those things, or even counseling, right? Like I talk about to talk to somebody. So now you can move that energy off of you, because we carry those things, ladies and gentlemen. We carry that, right? We almost carry it like a badge of honor, right? But when you get to a certain point in life, and now you really want to start to build, now you realize, you look at your foundation, or if somebody, makes you aware of the foundation that you built is not a foundation really that you can build from. So now you say, wow, okay, Tom, so what happens? How do I go back? What has to happen is, in terms of when you talk about abandonment issues, because they show up in all of these different areas of our lives. We need somebody else to help us understand and acknowledge what I'm talking about. Because if you don't agree, I mean, that's fine, right? But you need to have somebody to help walk you back to certain areas, certain points in your life where you can see where, boom, because something, it could have been traumatic that happened. That's where you build a foundation. That's where you poured the concrete, and now you don't realize it, but because of that incident and that situation, it molded you. It shaped you to be a particular kind of person. Now you kind of fast forward, and now you want to do certain things in life, and you just wonder why you keep going back. You keep going back, right? Because sometimes nobody has taken the time to ask you particular questions. So let's talk about, myself, for example, in terms of growing up without a father, or yourself. You grew up without a father, or you grew up without a mother. There's one poignant question that I ask, right? And if that's you, I'm talking to you this morning. This is the question, and it's very simple, but it'll start to unravel some things, right? So, and in my nonprofit organization, growing up with our father, when I have discussions with individuals, like I had, this past week, I asked this one question. And the question is, if I'm speaking to you this morning and you happen to grow up without your father, he made a different decision, or even your mom made a different decision. The question is, how did it make you feel? I'm going to say it again. How did it make you feel? Now, I know we're talking about abandonment issues, but think about that. Just stop for a moment and let that sink in. The individual that was supposed to make a particular decision made a different decision. Now you live in your life. How does that make you feel? Now, why is that important? That's important because, ladies and gentlemen, we all move. We build our life based upon a feeling. I'm on live this morning. Why? Because I felt like coming on and talking to individuals about this challenge. You're watching this because it's what you felt like doing. So because you move, and we move based upon a feeling, what happens if that feeling is anger, bitterness, hurt? We start to move based upon that feeling, and now we find ourselves in peculiar situations where our relationships are not working out, or we develop a vice, right? Alcohol, sex, drugs, crime, right? Those are just vices that mask a feeling, because there's something inside attached to abandonment issues that we never, ever, ever dealt with. Why? Because nobody asked us the question, right? It's not that we don't know. It's not that we don't understand how we feel. Nobody asked the question. Nobody asked the question. We're not going to articulate it. We're not just going to raise our hand and just talking to people and telling people how we feel. That's just not how, it's just not how it goes. And women sometimes say that men don't talk, in relationships. Men really don't talk. And I say, well, sometimes that's not always the case. And say, why is that, Thomas? Because men don't talk about frivolous things, right? Just things that they don't really care about. Like, men don't just sit around and just talk about those things. We just don't, right? But you ask a man, and those men that are listening, that grew up without their father, you ask a man or a woman, you grew up without your father, how did it make you feel? Ask a man that, right? Just ask him that one question, and I guarantee you, he could talk for pretty much for hours if you allow him, and or she can talk for that long. Why? Because it's choking us, ladies and gentlemen. It's choking us, right? Anybody that's watching, anybody that's listening, it's choking you. What do I ask the question? So again, right now, why is this important? This is important because now you could be an adult, right? You could have a family, wife, kids, started a business or working on a business, but you just can't seem to get some traction, right? And it's just something that just don't really feel right. Well, a part of that could be because of this abandonment issue, these challenges, right? We never stopped because maybe we didn't have an opportunity. I don't know. But we never stopped to forgive the individual that made a different decision, right? Okay. Now, and the forgiveness again is not necessarily for them, ladies and gentlemen. That forgiveness is primarily for us to release certain feelings, to release, possibly that anger, to release that hurt, right? Just for yourself, like not for anybody else that's listening, paying attention, none of that, just for you. Right? Just in your solace, in your quiet time, in your meditation, right? Just to forgive, right? So now you can start to break up that foundation, right? Pour a deeper hole, right? Why is that important? Because I said this the other day. If you ever go to any, big city and you go downtown and they're building structures, take a moment and just look. If you possibly can, look how deep they're digging a hole for that building that they're about to erect. Now you say to yourself, Thomas, why is that important? That's important because it's a metaphor based upon how deep they dig a hole will determine how high they erect that building. So just think about this, right? If our foundation is not deeply rooted, right, in positive things, now when we build our, good morning. Now when we start to build our edifice, right, when we start to grow up, when we start to become young men, young women, older men, older women, and the storms of life hit, because storms of life hit everybody. When the storms of life hit, if we're not deeply rooted, now when we impact it, it might take us out the game, right? Because nobody stopped to explain this, right? It might knock you over and you just can't get up, right? Because our foundation is not deeply rooted on the things that we need to sustain ourselves through life. Life is a roller coaster, right? Sometimes life can be tough. Life can be hard. But then at certain times, life could be beautiful. It could be glorious, right? Like there's different phases in life. Good morning. Yes, sir. It's different phases in life that we all are going to experience, right? Death, that's a part of it. You can't get out of life alive. That's a part of it. That's an intricate part of it, right? Failures, that's a part. Success, that's a part, right? If you couldn't fail, could you succeed? Right? If there was no wrongs, could there be a right? Right? Just understand in life, there's always a duality. If it's bad right now, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you it's going to get better, right? If it's good right now, I promise you you're going to get challenged. Why? Because you made up your mind that you're not going to take that no more. You made up your mind that from this day forward, I'm going to do this. See, once you make up your mind that you're going to move, life shows up. Life shows up. So just think about it. If your foundation is built on things that are not going to sustain you through the course of life, as you grow, as you mature, as you do different things, we have to go back. We have to break up that foundation, right? We have to pour a new foundation that's more solid, that's built on different things that'll sustain you, more positive things, positive affirmation, different things that will sustain you. Once we go back and break those things up, now you're talking about business, right? You're talking about partnerships, right? You're talking about marriage, you're talking about sustainability, all of these different things. Now you have the wherewithal to make it through. So again, this morning, I just wanted to be, it's kind of short a little bit, half as long and twice as strong. But I've been having conversations with different issues, and this abandonment thing has been coming up because a lot of us, ladies and gentlemen, are dealing with issues and challenges that our parents made for whatever reason. They made those decisions, but we're impacted by it. Like we can't, almost like we're stuck in the mud, like we can't move forward to do the things that we know that our Creator has already given us the ability to do. So all I want you to do is take a moment today in your quiet time and just think about these things. Just think about how the individuals who were supposed to be there, your benefactors, they made a different decision, and you may feel a funny kind of way trying to, kind of deal with that and just, work on forgiveness inside of your heart. You don't got to talk to nobody. Just work on that, and you start to feel a calmness, a particular release. And that's beneficial. Why? Because you have greatness inside of you. You are destined to do great things. But there's another opposing force that will try to stop you, because that's that duality, right? And it's here to slow you down. Why is it here to slow us down, Thomas? Because your Creator wants to know, how bad do you want it, right? How bad do you want that thing you say you want to do? Because at any moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, you could tap out. We could give up. And we could say it's too hard. We could say we can't do it at any moment, right? Or we can push through, right? We could take the challenge of the obstacles and different things that happens in life and bob and weave and move and go through these different things and still break through to be that individual that your Creator has destined you to be. What'd he say? He said, I knew you. I sanctified you, right? Before the foundation of the earth, when you was in your mother's womb, I knew you. And you, me, us, we were put here to do great things. On this Sunday morning, do not let the decisions that somebody else made, that unfortunately we become the benefactor from, and then we categorize them as abandonment issues. Please do not let those decisions impact your future. It's been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. Until we speak again, if you guys want to book a call with me in terms of sit down, you want to discuss this, you can follow me on my social media. It's tailoryourdreams.com. That's my website. All my social media is on there. But on this day, we're going to put abandonment issues behind us, and we're going to do and become the individual that we were born to be. Until we speak again, go out there and make it a great day.